going on?
Hey, thank you very much, Chris. They have just thrown these fun little party favors out there to celebrate the New Year in the Dominican Republic. All right, I'm out here. The crowd is going crazy. Less than an hour until New Year's. Part of why they're going nuts is this girl right here has been doing lewd acts. Laura Lifshitz, ladies and gentlemen. How you doing, Laura?
Oh, baby, happy to be here in New York!
For New Year's. For midnight, you're going to be right out here with me, right?
Oh, yeah. But what I really want to do is I want to get a Backstreet Boy and make him a bad boy.
Oh, honey, not out here in Times Square. It's a Giuliani city now. We can't have it. Be clean. Clean up your act, lady. I'm terrified of you. All right, the crowd noise out here is absolutely deafening. It's only going to get worse. I'm going to send it back into the studio where things are about to get very loud. Carson.
Yes, thank you very much, Dave. Things are about to get crazy. Officially less than 1 hour away till Y2K with Mandy Moore, who's going to tell us. I think we need some music for this party right now. We need a little live vibe, Mandy.
Oh, yeah, oh, yeah. So coming up right now is...
families, and this event really is
the rest of their lifetime.
That's right now.
We're in. So far, all of the briefings in Washington have systems are so far working that matter. The Pentagon is pleased.
Estará cayendo durante toda esta noche. ¿Cuántas? Más de 3,000 toneladas, así que yo no quiero imaginar cómo quedará Times Square para mañana. Compadezco a los muchachos de limpieza que les toca un trabajo arduo para mañana, ¿no?
¿Y tú sabes cuántos globos han repartido al público que se encuentra esta noche aquí? Unos 30.
Being called Odyssey. You know, Times Square is the home of Broadway. There are some 36 theaters here. None of them, of course, open for business tonight, as we have a bit of a larger show going on right now. But I can tell you that we've had basically 24 Broadway productions happening all day long.
Se siente la alegría en la Gran Manzana. Año 2000. Espero que sea un año próspero para mi país y para todo el Caribe, por supuesto, sí.
Claro que sí, también para mi país, para Cuba. A todos los cubanos les mando un beso hermosísimo.
Ahí tenemos fuegos artificiales en Puerto Rico. Fuegos artificiales en Puerto Rico, qué bonito.
Precioso, Tony. Estábamos comentando en la tarde que los fuegos artificiales es la celebración que tenemos en común todos los lugares del mundo. Todos a la hora de celebrar, pues tiramos fuegos artificiales.
Vamos con Miami. Adelante, Miami.
Maravilloso. Realmente, decía alguien que estoy llena de confeti. Bueno, no importa. Es día de fiesta. Ahora sí que las perfecciones quedan sobrando. O el que como te ve, ya se fueron hace rato.
Y es que ustedes que hablan de confeti, que están con la cosa de que me cae basura, me quiero ver bonita. Bueno, imagínense, deberíamos de darle un aplauso muy fuerte a toda la gente que está en Nueva York. Yo personalmente, el año nuevo pasado, estuve ahí celebrándolo, transmitiéndolo con Univision. Y fue impresionante cómo en 2 minutos limpiaron todas las calles, cómo quitaron todos los papeles, cómo tuvieron un orden. Un aplauso muy grande para esas gentes que trabajan como nosotros en este año nuevo, que hacen que todos la pasemos bien y limpian rapidísimo.
Este año ha trabajado, ya ha sido una fuente de trabajo esta emoción de este fin de siglo, ¿no?
Y ni siquiera es trabajo, yo lo vería también como una oportunidad de unirnos.
Bueno, lo nuestro
todos.
No, pero los que barren mañana sí.
Completamente, y agradecer.
Guys, you ready? Let's hear it.
Happy New Year! Who needs 2 million people?
Where was she when they did the promos?
You know what never ceases to amaze me? We know there are people that are 12 blocks away from the ball. They will never see anything much more than the fronts of their backs of the heads of the people in front of them.
But the ball is at 42nd Street, and people are in chock-a-block in the street in these pens all the way, as far as we can see here, all the way to, look, it must be 60th Street. That's 18 blocks on 7th Avenue anyway.
Over the years, spun their special.
It's all.
It's a rocker
Presence here in New York.
But if you could have any...
We represent the whole world. Some of them, Eric?
Thanks, guys. Everyone's having fun, but the NYPD, they're out in force. 8,000 cops. That's more police officers than many cities around the country, including 1,000 undercovers in this crowd. Mailboxes gone. Garbage cans gone. Any place someone could put a bomb, including, take a look at this, the sewer system. Look at this welding. They've been soldered shut. The bomb squad out in force, examining suspicious packages like this knapsack on the corner of 46th Street. Nothing found. Other officers have metal detectors looking for ammunition or weapons, and there have been huge dump trucks parked on street intersections to prevent any possible car bomb. Talk about duty. Detective Steve Scowse is a newlywed. You're here without your wife.
All time. We'll show you those results in just a little bit, but do it quick and don't miss Christina Aguilera. All that's coming up when we get back. Too large.
Yeah.
We're in full effect. New Year's Eve, MTV style, live in New York with less than an hour till Y2K. We will be right back.
Hey everybody, Happy New Year's. I'm Dave. Taylor. We're in the Foo Fighters. We want to wish you a Happy New Year and get ready for the year 2000 because the world's going to come to an end and you're all going to die.
The future is now, with all new music for a brand new year. Including all new episodes of Making the Video and Diary. All access to all the music of your favorite artists behind and in front of the camera. With live concerts and world premiere videos. It all adds up to the 1 millionth video ever played. The millionth caller will get $1 million. The future is now on MTV.
Morning.
How you doing? At midnight on December 31st, this is what could happen. No TV, no transportation, no electricity. All right. Trojan Man. Trojan condoms, the most trusted for a most happy new year.
The best taste for me is Pepsi.
Square where hundreds of thousands of revelers have joined to bring in Y2K. And right now, I've got some friends here who are going to let us know, what do we say in New Orleans?
Covering always.
I'm Lena Galicki from Luzerne County.
Before we go to school.
Peter Max. You know,
No, they're lined up. You can see over here how they're lined up, waiting to get on every time.
Malaria. Wear your pajamas outside the house. Everybody think.
Could I bother everyone for a minute?
Touch that
morning. You
find out.
Broth. I put it into an ice.
Embrace of.
Times Square anteriormente, no sé si la podemos poner otra vez, que está brillando con las luces. Tú sabes que este año es una bola especial que hicieron del cristal Waterford, el que tú tienes en los vasos de tu casa, ¿no?
Así es, todos mis vasos de las casas son de cristal Waterford. Mentira.
Un cristal carísimo, no sé ni cuánto costó la pelota esa que tienen ahí arriba, que subió por la mañana y cuando baje, señores, ya en aproximadamente 40 y pico de minutos llega el año 2000 a lo que es el continente de los Estados Unidos.
Así que se tiene que quedar con nosotros aquí en Univision.
All kinds of business things, so I'm
But
very happy.
You've never done anything is sort of like what you're doing tonight, participating in front of these thousands and thousands of people.
Well, the only thing it ever came close to this was when Garth Brooks had me as a guest.
When now we're not blind important.
Have enough coverage.
You know, when you can't look at here.
The other
We're still living with the fact.
Oh.
Never believed for 2 weeks hence. Calendar we use today, all across the globe. But in many countries, religion and culture still dominate.
Days ago,
tradition, which turned to visions of apocalypse as Israel suffered under foreign conquerors.
was a...
Drop set.
She breathes. Take. Indeed, would play. No reply cards or unwanted CDs.
At age 57, George Washington became the first president of the United States of America. At age 13, Old Dirty Bastard became one of the first members of the Wu-Tang Clan. George Washington chopped down his father's cherry tree and wore false teeth made of wood. Old Dirty Bastard's mother is named Cherry, and he wears false teeth made of gold. George Washington has been called the father of our country. Old Dirty Bastard has fathered 13 children in our country. George Washington's face appears on the dollar bill alongside the phrase, "In God We Trust." Old Dirty Bastard has over $1 million bills and calls himself Big Baby Jesus. Members of George Washington's cabinet included John Adams, Alexander Hamilton, and Thomas Jefferson. Members of Old Dirty Bastard's Wu-Tang Clan include RZA, GZA, and Ghostface Killah. George Washington served 2 4-year terms as president. Old Dirty Bastard is currently serving 1 year in drug rehab and 3 years formal probation. MTV thanks you both for living so large.
Yeah, welcome back. We're showing you some footage of what happened earlier today. You're checking out Sydney and Bethlehem. That's Hong Kong right there. And then finally Brazil as you look at Copacabana. That looks awfully familiar. We've been with you, showing you the Millennium globally here on MTV. And Times Square has been doing the same with over 2 million people celebrating and honoring Y2K as it made its way across the globe, including Moscow, which is actually a beautiful, beautiful sight. Makes you really realize what a monumentous occasion this really is, and it all culminates to here in New York in Times Square, where the eyes of the world are eagerly awaiting about a little over 45 minutes away from our own 2000. And I am in good company tonight. MTV's Too Large, an incredible party with the best acts in music, performing, and just hanging out. I'm with No Doubt, Ananda, and it's just, I'm tired of celebrating everybody else's millennium. I'm ready for ours, you know?
We're gonna get there.
Yeah. Anyway, so the worst thing for you guys has to be just waiting.
No
Just
way,
sitting
dude. I
around.
have to put makeup on this whole time. I'm ready
You ready to go? Are you ready to rock this place?
We get up there right now and do this shit.
That's what I'm saying, brother.
It's fun, man. We're hanging out with all the people backstage. We're schmoozing. We're just getting
Working
it all
it, working
built
it,
up.
yeah.
Building it all up.
Yeah.
So we're not bored at all.
Got a family vibe here tonight, though, too, which is cool. The performances are awesome, you know? We got a lot still coming up, though. We've got
Christina Aguilera is going to be
gonna
performing.
perform
Another
yet
chance
again.
for you guys at home to check out the people in Times Square spilling their guts for Y2K Forgiveness. But first, let's take a look at Jay-Z's incredible performance, one of the ones we had
awesome.
earlier.
It was earlier
Awesome.
tonight.
You guys, check it out right now.
Since I came through, y'all got the impression everything I drop out of the question. Stop your guessing. It's hot, flow proven. I pack cause my dough moving. My whole crew up in here. Spray corners, standing like you got a cape on you. Fine, you'll be wearing a black suit a long time. I put my crew in hard bottom.
Side. You think this stuff free? Find out more about the. Oh, sure.
DJ made it a problem. 2 a.m. now I'm getting with her.
Enjoy tonight and tomorrow. Of course, goes 24/7. Always looking for precipitation.
More sunshine. We take it up to
About 45 minutes from the 1,000-pound crystal ball dropping in Times Square here in New York City. But as you might know, if you've been watching television at all or listening to the radio today, the next century has already dawned around the world. So for a look now at how they welcome 2000, let's go to Fox's foreign correspondent, starting with Amy Kellogg in Moscow. And you've got some big news to report from there, Amy.
Paula, Britt, for many people around the world, it's just another millennium. For Russians, it's an entirely new era after a big shock by Boris Yeltsin.
Yeltsin stepped down on the last day of the millennium, apologized for dreams that never came true in Russia. His Prime Minister Vladimir Putin taking over until elections are held in the next 90 days. Russians see Putin as a force of stability, and that is what they want for the next millennium. They are celebrating that millennium in a Moscow made up in lights, fireworks, and snowflakes.
Now, given all the Y2K concerns here and the fact that there was a transfer of power, actually, Russia slid very smoothly into the millennium. For now, anyway, the Kremlin fireworks are over, and Russians have dispersed to do what they normally do on New Year's, which is to spend time with family and friends. But right now, we're going to go over to correspondent Rick Fulbaum in London to see how the British are celebrating.
Thanks, Amy. Well, here in Europe and in the Middle East, the year 2000 is being celebrated with prayers, with parties, and with pyrotechnics.
In Bethlehem, it was a peaceful gathering of pilgrims from all over to mark the beginning of the new millennium in the city where Christ was born. 2,000 doves were released and majestically flew towards the heavens as the year 2000 made its grand entrance. In Vatican City, Pope John Paul II ushered in the new year with a special millennium message. He had praise for the tremendous advances in the world, but he reminded people of the tremendous amount of suffering that's still going on too. In Paris, the City of Lights glittered more than usual with a stunning fireworks display at the Eiffel Tower. And here in London, 3 million people lined the River Thames, which tonight at least is known as the River of Fire. 40 tons of explosives rocketed into the sky as the hands on Big Ben struck 12. Queen Elizabeth started things by lighting the city's Millennium Beacon as London put on one of the flashiest New Year's parties in the world.
And one of the most expensive, too. When all is said and done, England will spend $3 billion to ring in the new millennium. Britt, back to you in New York.
Hey, Rick, there was
people who would like to face the year 2000 with a clear conscience. Right now, we got 2 more who are ready to confess.
Oh, we're going to send the sinner with the worst story upstairs to see Christina Aguilera perform What a Girl Wants.
Oh, dear.
And I know what I want, Dave. This time, I'll let you decide the winner.
Oh, so much pressure. All right.
All right, Rick, thanks.
You weren't disappointed, were you?
Not me.
You had high expectations.
I tell you, I have a favorite moment already, and that was watching President Clinton greet Sophia Loren. And the reason for that is, you saw he kissed her on both cheeks and was quite sweet with her. The last time he greeted her in the receiving line at a White House dinner like that, it was at the height of the Monica Lewinsky affair, and she was wearing this red dress, stunning red dress, even more low-cut than the one she had on tonight.
Right.
And the president's eyes looked straight ahead, never even began to look down as he went
together and with nature.
Oh, my God! I'm telling you, you're thinking with your crotches, the both of you.
Reflect upon the past few...
If I could get $15,000 to go back to school, any woman could do it.
Doing what you want to do in life is like being on vacation every single day. Now, here's your chance to get the government to pay for it. I've done all the running around for you and put it right here in one book. All you have to do is call. The call is free and the book is guaranteed. So call me. You have nothing to lose and a whole new life to gain.
Call 1-800-257.
Why didn't you tell me to do? Someone who has everything.
Don't play anymore.
Getting stuff. You know, it's just unique.
Right.
And don't do that.
Everything's gone full. And Jimbo.
It's particularly also important.
You would have to do literally.
And an order.
It's wonderful.
We really know.
Up to see you. Don't go away, because we're going to be right back with Christina Aguilera. We'll see you then.
Corn fans, MTV viewers, Happy New Year. Be safe from the new lead room.
Classes. Collectively, they paint a portrait of daring and innovation, characteristics that
estamos a menos de 40 minutos de recibir el nuevo milenio en la costa este de los Estados Unidos. Ahí está en este momento Raúl de Molina explicándonos lo que está sucediendo. El niño sé que es el año nuevo y el viejito que veíamos antes es el año que se va. Lo que hay ahora quiero que lo explique usted, yo no quiero ni verlo.
Exactamente, Mirka, ven para acá. Mirka está corriendo aquí, no sé lo que le pasa, pero está corriendo de un lado al otro. Y mira,
tratando de ver lo que está pasando ahí abajo, que sabes que le están dando globos a toda la gente, todo el mundo está con sus globos gigantes, ya esperando celebrar el nuevo milenio aquí en Times Square.
And Bernie, all the way from New York, we're going to race across.
Diferentes colores, azul, agua, verde, la gente está celebrando en grande ahí.
In the city of lights, Lauren.
And Judy, I just want to go on record right here, right now, to say that I think Fred and Wolf are going to be very jealous about what Vegas has to offer a little later on in the night. But right now we are overlooking the famous Las Vegas Strip, high above the luxurious Four Seasons Hotel. And as you can see, revelers are out in force in the gambling mecca, ready to party. People are drawn here, of course, by top entertainment, from Streisand to Midler to Siegfried and Roy. Vegas hotel owners are actually in better shape than some concert promoters around the world because many concerts had to be canceled or scaled back due to lack of ticket sales and concerns about safety. Michael Jackson said beat it to his Y2K gig, and so did David Bowie and Jewel, but there is still plenty of musical celebrations to go around. From New York to Miami, Nashville to Los Angeles, Mark Shearer takes us on a cross-country tour.
In a New York state of mind, Billy Joel will play Madison Square Garden New Year's Eve. Out on his stomping grounds of Long Island, Andrea Bocelli's at Nassau Coliseum after a planned high-cost triple bill with Aretha Franklin and Sting went belly up. And some of the anticipated 1 million-plus revelers in Times Square can peek through MTV's windows and see their concert with, among others, Blink-182 and 98 Degrees.
Back here in New York, Times Square for New Year's Eve, so big show.
Down the turnpike in Atlantic City, Cher is headlining Caesars. Indeed.
Give us a call. Chat online.
Extravaganza at the Lincoln Memorial. The president will be there. Quincy Jones and Steven Spielberg produced the show. Will Smith MCs. Trisha Yearwood and Kenny Rogers among the performers. Down to South Florida, where there are traffic jams as fans of Phish head for a two-day campout and concert. Blondie rocks Miami's South Beach. Gloria Estefan plays the American Airlines Arena. And the Bee Gees offer a little Friday Night Fever as well. Faith Hill and Tim McGraw are playing down home in Nashville.
So we won't have far to drive. We don't have to worry about the the fear of not getting home, hopefully. So we're excited about it.
Up in Pontiac, Michigan, it's a headbangers ball as Kid Rock, Ted Nugent, and Metallica fill the Silverdome with no fear of Y2K bugs.
One of the best kept secrets about all of this Y2K stuff is that Metallica actually controls that. So if there is one place where all that stuff is 100% safe, it will be inside the Silverdome that night.
Out west, Denver's got...
Molina, ¿me puedes oír?
Un besito, te oigo perfectamente.
Los guantes esos que te pusiste, no.
Last stop, Southern California, which will resemble Margaritaville if you're at the Universal Amphitheater with Jimmy Buffett.
Well, it's the millennium. Yeah, I'm working. I'd rather be working. You know, it's food, fun, frolic, breakfast at dawn, and it's going to be a party.
Linda Ronstadt and the Eagles are at the Staples Center.
To stand in Southern California on New Year's Eve and play all these songs, which are so much about California, so many of them written in California, where we lived, I think I'm looking forward to a pretty emotional evening.
It's going to be one of these nights, one of these crazy nights. Mark Shearer, CNN Entertainment News, New York.
And now back to this crazy...
Welcome to Too Large on MTV, our New Year's Eve bash in the midst of the Times...
We hope you can join us then.
Which is just incredible to see. Over 2 million people never lose energy. They've been here for damn near 2 days. We're 35 minutes away from midnight and ringing in the year 2000. And MTV has thrown quite the bash tonight with some of the greatest musical acts that were nice enough to come in and perform in our Times Square studio that we've enjoyed over the last year. and celebrities just great vibe in here, just hanging out. I'm hanging out with good friends, and so great that we could all be together on a night, even though it's kind of like work, but at least it's a good excuse to all get together.
Work with friends. Work with friends, because we don't have friends in normal life.
I know, I keep hearing you guys say that, Blink-182.
Yeah.
At the stroke of midnight, I'll go down the line. What exactly are you going to do?
I'm going to make out with my girlfriend.
Okay.
Me too.
Hey, you don't have one.
Hey, I know what. I'm going to make out. I want everyone to watch me, though, because I've been reading books and stuff.
Okay.
I'm going to use my tongue. Tom's been taking lessons.
Travis, what are you going to do right at midnight, bro? I'm going to hide under a couch and close my eyes until it's all over with. Right. I think that's
scary.
exactly. We have a performance, and you're going to do the honors, Mark.
That's right. I'd like to introduce a performance live here, Christina Aguilera.
Very nice work.
Thank you. You like that?
Than the
Smokes.
Kids. Competitor Tom Brokaw at NBC has made so clear in the 2 books they've published this year on the greatest generation. This is finally the time to celebrate those Americans who gave their lives, both in the Pacific, in Europe, and in other parts of the world. Could get to this moment at this point in time. Let's go to Central Park in New York City. ABC's John Miller.
Peter, we're in Central Park. This is the annual Midnight Run. This is a 21-year tradition, and it's known for the zany costumes. Before the race, they have the costume parade. We've seen everybody from Baby New Year to people dressed as bread and butter. Of course, it's also known for the lack of costumes. Every year they have a couple of streakers here, even after it went out of style. And of course, it's followed by fireworks over Central Park. So this is a big event. Record crowd this year, 7,000 people. Because of the millennium, they have big numbers. So we're waiting for this to go up at the stroke of 12. Back to you, Peter.
And John, don't go anywhere, because we would not want you to miss any fireworks. There's been a real shortage of fireworks around the world today. John Miller in Central Park. We'll be back in a moment with Billy Joel and, of course, Dick Clark.
This is ABC 2000, the celebration of the millennium. Brought to you by Polaroid, see what develops. And by Toyota, taking you into the new millennium.
Presenting political prisoners still never had it. Antigua, Barbuda, Barbados, Bermuda, Bolivia. Anniversary of the member.
Now it's time to meet the stars of your favorite shows on TV Guide. Today. For brakes that have 4 piston. Sales.com. Bailey Living Center.
So,
include scholarship. Super Movie Sunday. Well, Maris, of course, but
With an 18-inch, 20-inch chain.
Go, 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 go.
This is Countdown 2000, a special New Year's celebration from UPN 15 and WHP CBS 21. Brought to you by Brenner Furniture.
Most women are, if you really ask.
Stay tuned. Up next.
Of thousands.
Half an hour there, really ready to rock. Cisco, you shut down Hollywood Boulevard.
No, something I don't know.
For your first video from Unleashing the Dragon. What does this feel like?
Man, this feels, I can feel the energy, and I wanted to say that my favorite artists of like all the millennium would definitely have to be
favorite artist of all time.
Would definitely have to be Michael Jackson.
Michael Jackson is Cisco's favorite artist of all time. I'm gonna have to go with the Beatles, but that's a fantastic choice. We got amazing stuff going on out here. The ball is ready to come down.
Yes, I cannot wait. I cannot wait. I'm looking right now. My album's out too. So if anybody wants to know about the album, it's out right now. Let's kick it back to Carson.
Hey, Carson, take it away. All right, we're feeling the love right back here. I was digging that Christina Aguilera performance. Here with the guys from Blink. It was nice, right?
What a girl wants.
Less than 30 minutes away from Y2K here in New York. We're going to show you some more of those last-minute confessions in just a little bit as well. And, well, we have No Doubt's going to perform in a little bit. That should be rad.
That's rad.
Are you guys done performing? Are you going to go back up there?
Over it.
No?
Yeah.
Oh,
we're going to do a lot more, but no one will let us.
Oh, that's horrible. Oh, my goodness. Any last-minute thoughts, man? We're less than 30 minutes away as you.
You know what? I'm scared. I don't know what's going to happen. You know what I'm saying?
It's going to be rad. We'll find out. It will be rad. It's less than 30 minutes away. We'll be right back with more MTV's Too Large, the celebration to end the millennium and start anew right here at 45th and Broadway on MTV right after this.
Hi, Gray the dog.
Happy New Year's. I'm supposed to have some champagne, but basically all the Cristales run out, as you all know, because of the Y2K thing. So I hope you've all taken out some money, put it away under the mattress, and hope and pray for the best, because I don't know what's going to happen, and neither do you.
Would you like some more eggnog?
No, not really.
Oh, are you sure?
Ted?
Because now you can drive a Sebring with 0.9.
The new trends are bright colors, sheer mesh, animal prints. Our most spectacular gift for the new millennium is the $10 million Millennium Bra and Matching Thong. The Millennium Bra has over 2,000 stones of sapphires and diamonds. We haven't sold any yet, but it would be a great gift.
Can you imagine it? They haven't sold any of those yet.
Yeah, well, $2 million a copy and 17 pounds.
Whoa!
Small wonder that, you know, it's the thing, you wonder how she keeps them up. It is 34 degrees up here, so here's something red hot, as in chili peppers. Juliet Huddy has spent the end of this century on the road with the band. Hi, Juliet.
Good afternoon, good evening, Brent. Actually, Happy New Year and Happy New Year, America. Right now, you're watching Bicycle Sheep. This is one of the opening bands for the Red Hot Chili Peppers tour. And by the way, we had a chance to go behind the scene on that tour. And let me tell you, if the past couple days have been any indication, tonight's show right here at the LA Forum.
Es la llegada del nuevo año a partir de las 6 de la mañana o las 7 que comenzaron. Todas estas...
You can do anything. You're rock stars, you're studs, you got millions, drive around in limos. But where are you going to be on New Year's Eve?
We're going to be acting like rock star studs in our limos at the Great Western Forum in Los Angeles. You know, it'd be a fun place to be. It'd be home, close to home. And
We're going to do the countdown. We may have a special guest vocalist sing Auld Lang Syne after midnight.
Really? Any hints?
Nope. Nope.
Until next Wednesday, because as you know...
Qué lindo está quedando este programa y ver cómo toda la gente en el mundo está celebrando.
¿Qué proyectos tienes tú para este 2000? Porque nadie te lo preguntó, yo te lo voy a preguntar.
déjalos pendientes, porque ahora nos vamos, los consejos, nos vamos.
I broke it! You made me break my banana!
You made me break my banana.
How come you get all the best assignments?
Favorite artists behind and in front of the camera with last regarded prophet.
A tough crowd down there. They are packed in. It's easy to get shoved or conked on the head. When we come back, however, we're going to go to the place where conk is a noun. Florida celebrates the arrival of 2000 after this.
The race for the White House gets serious with 3 nights of pre-primary debates beginning January 5th. Where does your candidate stand on issues important to America? Join the people of NBC News for complete coverage and analysis.
Jackson is considered the most famous pop star of the 20th century. Albert Einstein's theory of relativity stated that E equals mc squared. Michael Jackson, along with his relatives, stated that ABC is easy as 1, 2, 3. Albert Einstein beat the clock by limiting his wardrobe to 1 outfit. Michael Jackson beat it with 1 glove. In 1939, Albert Einstein urged FDR to develop an atomic bomb. In 1984, Michael Jackson's hair exploded while shooting a Pepsi commercial. Albert Einstein proved the physical existence of tiny molecules. Michael Jackson is friends with Emmanuel Lewis. Albert Einstein declared that the universe is constantly expanding. Michael Jackson is friends with Elizabeth Taylor. By age 60, Albert Einstein's hair had turned completely white. By age 40, Michael Jackson had... Enough said. MTV thanks you both for living so large.
Oh, we're getting close now. Yep. Oh my goodness, MTV is too large, New Year's Eve Live. As you look at the clock there, about 22 minutes away from Y2K in the year 2000 as we've been celebrating it globally, and I think we're next. That's the safest thing to say. We have an amazing performance from No Doubt coming out. I'm with Kathy Griffin. Life is good. We'll tell you a little bit about Times Square once we do hit the stroke of midnight. 15,000 balloons will fall all at once.
And you know what people don't know? Jessica Simpson has to personally clean up the whole mess herself.
No, she doesn't.
Tommy Mottola cannot get her out of that one. No, she's a very busy girl.
You're gonna get banned from MTV.
What?
Come on.
Again?
Be TRL friendly. Also, we'll see about 150 cannons will shoot off from 13 different buildings. Tons of confetti. It's gonna rock. But we've had a confessional out in Times Square. People could go in and just confess all their naughty sins over the last year.
Is there a priest there?
No, it's just a camera. And then it's time to show some of them back right now. Watch this.
There's a confession I have to make to show you if you're out there. I know I lied to you in the past, telling you that you
CH Music or watch it.
Colored the
You hear about this? I guess she was at some kind of party in New York, blew into a party favor. It landed in Iraq. What are the odds of that? It's a favor. That's a big favor.
This is very different from anything you've ever done. How does this compare to, say, the Oscars or a party for the president?
Well, this is much more...
Huge crowds. South Florida's a little unique. People always show up late. About 400,000 people apparently showing up here. Most of them showing up really in the last 90 minutes. Getting here, of course, in time for the millennium to arrive. There will be an incredible fireworks show here, as there are in so many cities across the country. A minor glitch tonight, one of the barges, they have all these fireworks, about 10,000 of them on 4 barges that are off the beach here. One of the barges broke loose and actually washed into shore. But the Coast Guard and the folks from the Miami Beach Police Department got out of their boats. They threw some lines onto the barge, and then they pulled it back out. On Fox 43.
Oh, Mom said paper towels.
The party will go late, but here...
An unexpected grudge match. In the left corner, the man from Springfield, weighing so many pounds we won't disclose. In the right corner, the man from Buffalo, New York. He won't tell us how much he weighs, but when we come back, these two will tell us who has the best show on earth. Is it on the Mall in Washington, D.C.? Is it in New York's Times Square? Fred Hickman and Wolf Blitzer will square off. But before that, marveled at this live picture, sunrise over Egypt.
I'm with Mandy Moore. Girl, you picked a hell of a New Year's Eve to come to Times Square for your first.
I guess so.
You've been having...
Y con mucha preparación.
Gracias, fue el señor Rafael Andalia, el vocero del Departamento de Policía de Nueva York, María Elena, y como dije inicialmente, parece que ha sido una noche exitosa, una noche en la que solamente se han producido 7 arrestos, ningún incidente grave, y por supuesto eso da una razón más, como si fuera necesario, una razón más para celebrar aquí en Times Square. María Elena.
Ready to do this? The world, are you ready to do this? Make some noise! You wanted us best, but you got the best! But don't you know I'm a 2,000 man?
Eastern time before they get it. Let's check in on what has been an aspect of this story we're very reluctant to talk about this evening because things are going so well, but report it we must, and that is the constant investigation going on, the checking and double checking, so there won't be a violent incident in this country or anywhere else where Americans gather, for that matter. Justice correspondent Pete Williams following that through investigators. Pete, quiet evening. So
delightfully so. The National Law Enforcement Command Centers here in Washington that are monitoring the situation nationwide report no serious problems anywhere. Here in Washington, D.C., where security is at an all-time high, more law enforcement officials on the street tonight.
Right, all eyes are going to be on that ball.
Before in its history. This is both Washington, D.C. police and
both the New Year's or the Times Square ball and the strawberry here in Harrisburg in just a few minutes.
Rena Woods and Michael Ross, they are getting
Additional celebration. We join once again Dick Clark. Dick.
Thank you, Peter. It's getting a little more exciting out here in Times Square. We're about 16 minutes away from that big ball drop, and people all over the world will be counting on that ball. It's hanging high up there. In 1904, the Times newspaper moved to what was a place called Longacre Square in those days, and subsequently became known as Times Square. First year they set off some fireworks and celebrated New Year's. In 1907 they had the first ball drop, and it's been dropping to crowds like this for 91 continuous years. Now this hour down, you can see all those Mylar wigs and the balloons and stuff. All of that was handed out courtesy of the business development people. They're celebrating this hour, the Caribbean Islands culture, with puppets and water things, but everybody here in the crowd is looking at the ball. The crowd size has not been officially told to us yet, but if it is 2 million, it'll be the biggest one I've ever seen in almost 30 years of being out here. And as you can see by our ABC clock, we have a little more than 15 minutes still to go. It's really comfortable this year. It's really nice. I've been out here when it's been 17 degrees below zero wind chill factor, and that can really, really hurt. This crowd is...
And in Lancaster at the...
Let me give you a little up...
En el estudio, como toda la costa este de los Estados Unidos y tantos otros lugares como Haití, como Cuba, como el Perú, como las Bahamas.
El Perú, las Bahamas y tantos lugares. Y además porque tenemos que estar orgullosos.
Thousands of people who have simply packed around. It's unbelievable. You know, when I came here at around 5 this afternoon, and it was not very crowded. But with every 15 minutes, this place simply got going. It's been packed.
Y2K, boy, it's been off and on billed as a survival center back when the dire predictors were winning this debate. The Y2K Command Center in the old Secret Service headquarters in Washington. Chip, this has got to be, while something short of champagne corks, this has got to be a good, safe, secure feeling and a happy night for these people who've devoted 2 years of their lives to this cause.
Absolutely, Brian, and you've been showing those crowds behind reporters, and I'm getting a tad jealous about it, but let me show you the crowd behind me. And I'm going to make the argument that this crowd, in one sense, is even more important than those other crowds. If these people were running around frantically or hysterically, you'd know there were big problems. But I think it's fair to say they look bored, they are bored, Brian, because there is so little going on. In fact, the kind of glitches we're getting are things like the website for the Star Trek Trek website.
An album is coming out, right? Return
That's
on
right.
Saturn.
That's for sure.
What took so long, guys?
We got to make it really good. What do you think?
Of course. But
No, I mean, we got it, quality, not quantity.
what if you made it too good? What if you spent years and years on it?
Well, I think it was just kind of natural, and we just worked on it every day, and now we feel ready to go. We feel ready to just get out there and just take over the world again.
So it's been a while since you played live. Are you excited about this? What do you think of this?
This is so
It's
surreal.
amazing.
You look out there, and these look like movie screens, and this looks like Blade Runner. It's so surreal. Can't believe we're here.
Yeah, it's going to be an amazing thing, I think. So when are you guys going to be back out on the road? When can people see you?
What, March? April? March, April?
Okay, yeah. In just, 10 minutes or so, we're going to be seeing no...
Y lo único que no quiero es
1804, and the turnout's incredible. Amazingly, a very small percentage of these people are New Yorkers. These people are from all over the world. Like this guy, he's from Ecuador. You having a good time? Yeah, sure. It's the best place to be. Have you ever been to Times Square before New Year's Eve? I came here 4 years ago, and it's a really good time. What do you think of this turnout? Oh, it's great. It's the best. This woman in front of him is from North Carolina. Where are you from in North Carolina?
Chapel Hill.
Chapel Hill, home of the University of North Carolina. How are you enjoying Times Square?
It's amazing, absolutely amazing.
Are you surprised that, there was a lot of talk about Y2K problems, possible terrorism? Did that scare you at all?
Yeah, a little bit.
Cuidado ahí con el cable.
Thank you very much. We just saw the young woman from Doctors Without Borders who gets to press the button and drop the ball, and that is coming up very shortly in about 12 minutes. Stay with NBC News live coverage right after this break.
We gotta take it. The IMAX Experience, rated G, coming January 1st to selected IMAX theaters worldwide.
Who wants to win $1 million?
Corn on sale.
¿De dónde son ustedes?
Somos de Honduras.
Aplausos para Honduras también. Daniel ahí está con otra persona.
Joven, ¿usted qué desea?
Bueno, primero que todo, realizar el sueño de mi vida, que es grabar un disco y realizar mi carrera artística. Y Dios quiera que don Francisco o Emilio Estefan, que me estén viendo en este momento, pues de alguna manera me den la mano para lograr ese sueño que tanto deseo en toda mi alma.
Pues tú de todos modos escríbele la carta a los Santos Reyes. ¿De dónde eres tú?
De Venezuela, de la ciudad de Mérida.
Ay, Mérida en Venezuela. Un saludo y un aplauso les enviamos desde aquí. Mucha suerte.
De Mérida también.
Ella también es de Mérida.
De Mérida.
Bueno, oye, yo quisiera preguntarle a Mirka.
To do that. Do you think we should throw water on them now or later?
We just want both of you to hang around because there's much more coming up in the next 12, 11 minutes ahead, and we don't want to miss a single second of it when it begins.
It's going to get better.
CNN's global coverage of Millennium 2000 is sponsored by Merrill Lynch. Be bullish.
Un matrimonio duradero con mucha paz, felicidad y también mucha salud para toda mi familia y trabajo por mucho tiempo.
¿Y Raúl de Molina?
Don Francisco, creo que lo que pido todos los años, algo muy importante, y es felicidad. Tener mucha felicidad, como bien dijo Mirka, para toda nuestra familia, para todos. Mucha felicidad, eso es lo que yo espero para el año 2000, al igual que espero todos los años.
Yo creo que esta además es la oportunidad de ustedes dos de saludar a sus familiares ya que están trabajando, Mirka y Raúl, y si quieren hacerlo cuando faltan aproximadamente 10 minutos para que recibamos nosotros el nuevo milenio y cuando se vea el alcalde Giuliani ahí en cámara.
Exactamente, aquí estábamos viendo al alcalde Giuliani, que está presente aquí en Times Square también, y mi familia, aparte de mi...
Starring. Order in this exclusive in-demand pay-per-view event and crown the state
before a great game.
Doing it, and thank you for joining us.
And down in that now extremely well-lit scene is our man, Brett Baer. Hi, Brett.
Hey, Brett, Paula, listen, this energy is building here. If you've never been in a crowd this size, take a look at this. We sent a photographer inside with a helmet all
around, the people going crazy. There's a lot of pent-up energy here. Some of these people have been here since 6 a.m. Bathroom breaks are few and far between, so they are waiting for the ball to drop here. It's getting a lot louder, and it's going to get a lot louder in the next few minutes.
And Brett, some of these people aren't going to see anything, are they? They are so far back in that massive humanity.
It goes as far as you can see. I mean, you can't see the end of the block here. Just all of these people really excited.
All right, thanks so much, Brett. Stay safe down there.
All right.
Now we got, what, about a minute. Mr.
Y2K. Certainly haven't lost one bit of energy or steam in Times Square or at our Too Large party here at the MTV studios. Unbelievable. There's just everybody's sort of like walking around like a ghost. I'm here with Christina Aguilera and her friend. Say hi, everybody. We have a special performance coming up right at midnight that's going to be awesome.
500,000 people were here. Of course, that number has quadrupled. And one more statistic that I believe you mentioned earlier, Brian. Confetti!
That's right. Lots of it. Let's go out to Chris Connolly right now. We're minutes away, Chris. What's the vibe? Carson, it couldn't be more exciting out here. They've come from Cincinnati, from Dallas, Texas. Nick and Justin from 98 Degrees. Jessica Simpson from Dallas, Texas. How's it feel, guys?
It's amazing.
It's great. I mean, this is the biggest party in the history of planet Earth. It's incredible. Would you rather be anywhere but here right now?
Nowhere but here.
This is what's going on. Moments from now, that ball's going to drop. What a crazy time it's been. Times Square extravaganza, hasn't it been? Unbelievable. It's people as far as you can see all the way up the street. It's amazing. It's unbelievable. Just a few moments, Mayor Giuliani will be giving Times Square the finger. He'll be pushing the button that's going to drop that ball way up there, and we will be in the year 2000. Now, do you guys have any special plans when we actually hit the year 2000?
Just 1999, that will transition into 2000. It just dimmed. Let's listen in to what the president is saying.
As we marvel at the changes of the last 100 years, we dream of what changes the next 100 and the next 1,000 will bring. And as powerful as our memories are, our dreams must be even stronger. For when our memories outweigh our dreams, we become old. And it is the eternal destiny of America to remain forever young, always reaching beyond, always becoming, as our founders pledged, a more perfect union. So we Americans must not fear change. Instead, let us welcome it, embrace it, and create it. The great story of the 20th century is the triumph of freedom and free people.
Hey, Dave, I got
of new immigrants, the struggles for equal rights, the victories over totalitarianism, the stunning advances in economic well-being, in culture, in health, in space, in telecommunications, and in building a world in which more than half the people live under governments of their own choosing for the first time in all history. We must never forget the meaning of the 20th century, or the gifts of those who worked and marched, who fought and died for the triumph of freedom. So
Bill Clinton from the Mall in Washington, a president who has been in office 1/7 of the century we're saying farewell to tonight, a man who saw his legacy cemented this past year. He'd much rather be known as the president who came into office with a 3,000-point Dow. Today presides over 11,000 plus. Sadly, it was other matters that would come to define Bill Clinton, at least for the short term. And that
a $7 million party. There are about 7,000 police keeping order out here.
There will be this laser show on the Custom House Tower, supposed to go on right up until the...
I am still waiting for Jennifer Lopez.
A world in which we honor our differences and even more, our common humanity. Such a triumph will require great efforts from us all. It will require us to stand against the forces of hatred and bigotry, terror and destruction. It will require us to continue to prosper to alleviate poverty,
On to something else after this.
the demands of work and family, and to serve each of us in our communities. It will require us to take better care of our environment. It will require us to make further breakthroughs in science and technology.
Sería empezando por nosotros.
Bodies, lengthen life, and unlock secrets from global warming to the black holes in the universe. And, perhaps most important, it will require us to share with our fellow Americans.
It was so fun to see them celebrate and usher.
Nothing like the ball in Times Square.
The economic benefits of globalization.
City. This is the place to be, believe you me. I wish I had the balloon concession, but those were all given away free tonight. And that
certainly was a contender of the Olympics.
To the mysteries beyond our solar system. Now
DC tonight as well. They're gonna. We hope that they don't burn down the Washington Monument.
the porta potties on the side streets and all, they've accommodated the people who couldn't get into the square. They've worked it out so people can move around with ease, and we're just less than 3 minutes away from probably the biggest sound you will ever hear as the Millennium ball drop happens. I mean, I've seen a lot of them, but I've never seen the size of a crowd like this. If indeed this is 2 million people, there are only
institutions
that are bigger than this crowd: Chicago, New York, and LA. We're talking about 3 million people on the beaches in Rio. They can stretch them out a long way up and down that beach down there. They're a little cozy down here. Yeah, say hi to Mom. She's watching you on TV. 2 minutes and 20 seconds. Every single person in this crowd is watching for that thing to move. It's all computerized now. In the old days, you used to drop it with a nylon clothes cord with 3 guys and a Mickey Mouse watch. It's all
the folks gathered here at.
A couple of years ago when they first started, we had a minor glitch. Talking about Y2K things this year. A couple of years ago when it was computerized, we were a little bit late. I think we lost it by about 2 seconds that year, and boy, did it hit the papers. As I wave to television, turn around now, watch the ball. That's it there. You think she heard me? That's a funny look. Look at them. They're all the way up to Central Park, all the way down to 42nd Street. This is a massive New Year's Eve crowd with 1 minute and 30 seconds left. Listen to the music.
And man, the energy is unparalleled to anything you have ever witnessed.
Where were you when not just the century turned, but when the millennium ended? Katie, we've got 1 minute and 10 to go. Let's let the television cameras and Guy Pepper and his crew perform their magic.
literally shot from guns. You could, as the fireworks went, so did those guns and fired this stuff into the air. And we're 26 stories above the street. As you can see, it's everywhere here. It is everywhere.
Now, since people don't quite have smell-o-vision yet, they don't understand, in addition to these little pieces of paper that are being shot out of the cannons, that is, there are also some sense, what are they calling them? Sense strips, sensoriums.
Yeah, they're distributing paper squares larger than these pieces of confetti that contain what is being called a world olfactory sculpture by somebody. And the artist is said to have consulted with officials of 230 nations to identify a scent from tree, flower, grass, or herb that is significant to each land. And then apparently they gathered the oils and created this scent. And if you want to find out more about this, and I can't imagine why you would, you can check out a website called www.worldsensorium.com.
You don't seem to be fully appreciative of the 10-year effort it took this artist to create this scent.
Look at this. Look at
it. It is magnificent. Thing about this party here in Britt is that this is a 24-hour celebration. We may not be able to brag quite yet that this is the largest gathering of celebrants, but this party has been going on since 6 o'clock this morning, and they've actually celebrated 24, or will by the end of this, 24 different time zones going into the millennium. And you've probably heard the rise of the sound of the crowd on an hourly basis. Yet another place in the world coming to the next century.
I'm struck, Paula, by the mood of all this. This has been a year in which, in a number of ways, there have been pessimistic forecasts about outcomes of various kinds. There was all kinds of thought that after impeachment there would be a terrible down period in America, that the Kosovo war would result in a period of enduring trouble, that the stock market couldn't maintain these levels. And all of that seems to have now passed, and the optimists have been right at every turn, and the optimists were right again about tonight, and about the ability of this whole transition to occur without any untoward incident so far. And although there were celebrations canceled, most conspicuously, of course, in Seattle and in a number of other places as well, the people who turned out in such force here and elsewhere were, I think, among the nations. We're living, I think, at a great time, at a remarkable time in America. People feel it, they sense it, they believe it, and they believe in it. And you see them out in the streets here tonight, and you saw them late today as I think nearly all the indexes, perhaps save for the NASDAQ, which had already been at the top, closed at record levels. These are good times in America.
Oh, they are indeed. And I'll tell you one thing, the folks out here around Times Square had to have tremendous faith in law enforcement officials that they could pull this off. I know the commissioner told us yesterday that you expect the best and prepare for the worst. And I'll tell you, the 8,000 police officers that are down there in the street are really earning their pay this evening.
It strikes me that the city administration deserves a lot of credit for this and for the confidence, as you described, that people have had in it. Certainly the officials in Washington who have seen to it that all of the nation's large computer systems governing the military machines and so on, the air traffic systems and all that have all worked effectively. They deserve a lot of credit for that. You sense the confidence long before tonight, but of course you never could know for sure. But so far it has looked very good, and of course we'll be listening as the evening wears on for any signs of trouble. But you don't sense it's going to happen, do you?
No, and what's interesting to me is to talk to folks that have been lined up outside there, some of them for 14 hours now. And they basically said, we don't even care if we can't see the ball drop. We wanted to share in this collective experience. And I met one couple that traveled all the way from California on the train because they didn't want to fly. They were scared that there were going to be some radar problems. And they are 7 blocks away now. They probably didn't see anything, but happy to be here.
We've got to take a little break here, but we're not going anywhere. Stick around, folks. We'll be back.
I don't think he's going anywhere either.
Just ahead, live from New Orleans, the Neville Brothers, when Fox 2000 continues. Fox 2000 is brought to you by Blockbuster, with very best wishes for a happy and safe new year. Start the year off right with the hottest new releases from Blockbuster.
Her whole demeanor, the way she carried herself, coming in, sitting at the table, the way everybody looked at her, you just knew she was going to be trouble.
With the hottest new releases guaranteed to be there, you might find a new favorite moment this week at Blockbuster, like this one.
Entrapment, guaranteed to be there this week at Blockbuster. It's nonstop action and high-flying suspense with Sean Connery and Catherine Zeta-Jones. Rated PG-13, directed by John O'Neill. Also available on DVD. Nobody has more copies than Blockbuster.
This is great! At midnight, we'll eat our way into the new millennium with this gigundo party sub from Subway.
And no bacon in my section.
Eat your way into the new millennium with delicious 6-foot party subs and party platters from Subway.
4, 3, 2. Oh well, 'tis always the next millennium.
Subway, the way a sandwich should be.
Year 2000 feels great, and here it is in the United States.
The symbols of this immigrant nation are in play here tonight. The Statue of Liberty, a place that welcomes so many people to these shores. The melting pot that you see here in Times Square. The celebration, all the symbols of prosperity in America, and then an expat in effect. Somebody from Great Britain who's singing A Brand New Day, Sting. So we really do have the melding of all the cultures of America in Times Square at the beginning of a new millennium.
And for all these people who had been waiting hours and hours and hours, this was quite a show. And that was quite a show. Hello.
Well, I would think that they have that coming after all the hours that they've been out there waiting. And that's going on across the country. And of course, this is just the Eastern time zone. Worth reminding everyone that we still have Central, Mountain, and Pacific to get to before we can say truly in this country that we have entered the new century in the United States. But this is the kickoff. It is the granddaddy, and it certainly has lived up to that reputation.
That's right. Right now, all eyes are on the Big Apple, although Washington, D.C. had quite a huge celebration of fireworks as well. But I think really none compares to Sydney, Australia. 200,000 rockets fired at 8 o'clock this morning. Now you're looking at a shot of Miami, and those fireworks look pretty spectacular, too. I wonder how much money was spent in all on pyrotechnics this
Well, the
New Year's
mayor
Eve.
just talked about how much they spent on police with millions and millions of dollars of police work, but he said they'll get it all back in additional business. And I think that there is this big competition among the urban areas now. Miami is obviously the capital of the northern part of the southern hemisphere. It is a big destination for people from South America. It is one of the most cosmopolitan cities in the world between north and south. New York is the capital of the world these days with all that's going on here. Washington, D.C., the capital of this country, had its own celebration tonight, led by President and Mrs. Clinton at the mall at Lincoln Memorial. Boston, which is the old city in this country where the Pilgrims first arrived, they were celebrating. They're celebrating in Philadelphia. As we work our way across the country, You'll be seeing similar scenes on the Navy Pier in Chicago. In Los Angeles, they're lighting up the Hollywood sign. One of my favorite stories of the night so far, by the way, is in Berlin, twins were born, one in one millennium, another in another millennium. They're millennia generations apart.
That's funny.
On either side of midnight.
And of course, babies all across the country will be celebrated. The first baby to
You wonder
form
what's going
after
on
the
in
New
hospitals
Year.
here in New York right now, don't you? I mean, in the labor room, husbands are saying, push, we still got a shot.
I think
The
we
house full of
actually
furniture.
interviewed someone on the Today Show who got pregnant and timed it so she could give birth to the first baby of the new millennium. Whether she has success or not remains to be seen, but that's called very careful family planning.
In the Silicon Valley, in one of the hospitals, they've developed a small portfolio, very small. 1 share of Yahoo stock and 5 shares of Silicon Graphics. It's worth about $500. Today, next week, it may be worth $500,000, who knows. But that's a new wrinkle in parents who deliver the first child in the new year. Now, the practical side of me wonders, Katie, how long is it going to take all these people to leave here?
And the other question is, how long will they want to stay for? The police commissioner was, needless to say, very pleased, Howard Safer, but the night is still young, and it will take a while for the crowd to disperse. And many people may stick around Times Square for several hours,
Well,
and even more merrymaking.
Since it's been alcohol-free all day long, some of them may want, at this point, to go have a cocktail.
And I think they
There's
should.
a small chance.
If they want to.
If they want.
But they shouldn't drive.
Now, I'll bet your New Year's and growing up in Virginia were just about like this, weren't they?
Oh, yeah, exactly. Actually, we used to eat peanuts in our living room and watch Guy Lombardo. That was our idea of excitement. There
This
we've
is
got a shot
Boston.
of Boston.
I
The
think that's
fireworks
over
still
Boston
going on.
Harbor.
People are sort of milling
People
about
are
a
starting
little
to
bit
mill out a
more,
little bit.
kind of leaving their pens and heading elsewhere.
Yeah, it's the bottom of the ninth, and a home team hit a home run to win the game, and so it's been a great experience, but a lot of people are saying, maybe if I can get to the parking lot earlier than everybody else.
People have to start getting accustomed to writing 2000 on their checks, and now the Roman numerals have changed. They're MM for the new millennium. About 100 years ago, this nation was enjoying great prosperity as well. And as you mentioned earlier today, Tom, when we were talking, people were very excited to see things ushered in like the automobile and electricity. President McKinley was in office, and really there were a lot of good times going on.
And no one, even 20 years ago, anticipated the internet. Think about how the pace of change now.
And the level of economic prosperity, perhaps, as well.
And we hope that more people will have even more opportunities, of course, in the 21st century to cash in on some of that prosperity. That's one of the real challenges before the country. Almost anything is possible these days. We'll be continuing to watch all of this. We'll have continuing coverage of Millennium 2000 here to Times Square, the Renaissance Hotel. Katie Couric and Tom Brokaw back in a moment.
Endurance, copy. Endurance.
You'd had it already by the summer of '75. From the height of the low to the end of the show for the rest of their life. Couldn't go back to the greasers. Best they could do was pick up their pieces. So we always knew they would both find a way to get by. Oh, that's all I heard about Brenda Can't tell you more than I told you.
Court bell.
Quote, Eleanor Roosevelt.
America must be strong, not just in a military and economic way, but in a spiritual and moral way.
Duke Ellington wrote, "We stirred in our shackles and our unrest wakened justice. We fought America's wars, provided her labor, gave her her music, and prodded her on toward democracy."
Walt Whitman wrote, "Pioneers, oh pioneers, we cannot tarry here. We must march, moving yet and never stopping."
In 1851, Sojourner Truth said, "If the first woman God ever made was strong enough to turn the world upside down all alone, then women together ought to be able to turn it back and get it right side up again. And now that women are asking, men better let them do it."
This may be you, you know. Elizabeth, this is you.
Dwight D. Eisenhower said, "We pray that the scourges of poverty, disease will be made to disappear from this earth."
The historian Oscar Handlin said, "Once I thought to write a history of the immigrants in America, and then I discovered that the immigrants were America."
Kennedy said, "Let us dedicate ourselves to what the Greeks wrote so many years ago, to tame the savageness of man and make gentle the life of this world."
Cesar Chavez once said, "The truest act of courage is to sacrifice ourselves for others in a struggle for justice."
We go forward today, a nation still mighty in its youth and powerful in its purpose.
It was just the tick of a clock, the stroke of midnight. It lasted for just a moment, literally no more than that. But for all of these people, it was worth the wait. But now many of them, Katie, are beginning to pour out of Times Square. Many of them have been here all day long. The celebration remains because the century will go on.
Ann Curry, our colleague, has been down with the crowd all evening long, and she probably can give us a good idea of what folks are doing now that the party is, well, almost over. Right, Ann?
Exactly. I'm at the position you were at earlier in the evening, Katie, and we can see people on both sides going up 46th Street, going in both directions, leaving the area. However, there are some people who are remaining, and there's still is a bit of a show. The strobe lights are still going. The music is still going. There are still people dancing in the aisles. You know, earlier, before the ball came down, there were riot police actually in riot gear all up and down, but they certainly were not needed because there was no surge that we could see from this vantage point. People just had a wonderful time watching this spectacular light show, watching the ball drop, and just feeling that sense that they're in a place at a time that will never come again in their lifetimes, and feeling as though they've been a part of it, Katie.
And you know, you can't really tell from behind you, but a lot of people have actually left the area, haven't they?
That's right. We saw them. In fact, if you wouldn't mind turning your camera in that direction, we have people moving. You can still see them moving in both directions. They're going up 46th and 47th, and they're all, this whole area that was filled with people is now really becoming much more empty.
All right.
They've been here for so long that in many cases their driver's license have expired. So they're going to have a hard time.
Delighted and know that they've dodged a bullet. They weren't up.
Military is concerned when Greenwich Mean Time struck midnight. The rollover produced no problems, and they said so far the U.S. military has not been affected. Carl Rochelle reporting that the Federal Aviation Administration says everything was going very well. Frank Buckley is at Penn Station in New York City. Frank is getting ready to report from Penn Station. And we're back out in Times Square now. The crowd seems subdued, but everyone is just sort of catching their second wind now because they had been out there for hours, having got the best position they could get, and now they're just walking around and talking. This is how it looks outside. Inside Penn Station, let's go back to Frank Buckley.
Bernie, we are at Penn Station right now. This is some of the crowd that is heading back from Times Square. That's some of the people who are some of the regulars. The trains will be running here, but some of them have been paused. Excuse me. I was hoping to talk to some of the people here to ask them about their hopes on New Year's Eve. Tell me your name again.
I'm Cassandra Dunham from Cleveland, Ohio.
Tell me, did you get down to Times Square tonight?
How did I get down? Is that what you said?
Did you get to Times Square tonight?
No, I was unfortunate to get to Times Square, but I did enjoy seeing the ball drop, which was very interesting because I've never seen that in real life. I've always had to see it on TV, but it was awesome. I loved it. It was beautiful. Thank you.
Thanks for joining us. We are at Penn Station tonight, and there have been concerns about Y2K and the trains, and we can tell you that Amtrak and many of the train systems around the country and around the world have in fact decided to take a pause at just before midnight, some of them for a half hour up to 2 hours. So far, no problems have been reported. We can tell you that the pause that took place here at Penn Station has taken place, and those trains that were paused here have taken off. I'm going to toss it back to you, Bernie.
Thanks very much. How are your eardrums doing?
I think some of those folks want to be on television.
Indeed. Well, the Midwest is approaching its magic moment from Chicago to New Orleans.
New Orleans and places like Granbury, Texas. Our own Candy Crowley's there. We're going to be visiting a part of Texas close to Dallas.
And also in this hemisphere, Mexico City. And to the north, Winnipeg in Canada. And in Central America, Costa Rica, El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, and Nicaragua. Waiting to welcome the millennium. Our live coverage continues in a moment.
On a Millennium 2000 special, Garrick Utley takes a look at the possibilities for the future with guests Faith Popcorn and Watts Wacker, only on CNN. On a Millennium 2000 special, join us as we explore the four corners of the world with guests Jean-Michel Cousteau and Steve Fawcett. The future of exploration on the network of the Millennium, CNN.
Saturday on CNN's Larry King Live. What a way to kick off the year 2000. Larry's special guest is Microsoft founder Bill Gates. He'll discuss the future of the computer and much more. That's Saturday, 9 Eastern on CNN.
You are a skilled and gifted surgeon.
He left behind the only family he's ever known.
Bye, Homer.
To find his place in the world.
I've never actually seen the ocean.
The Los Angeles Times calls it a superb film. And now it's been nominated for 2 Golden Globe Awards. Rex Reed says it's definitely one of the year's best pictures.
I love you.
The Cider House Rules, rated PG-13. Now in select cities everywhere Christmas Day.
Good evening, sir. Your finest table?
Reservation.
Perhaps you'll find it under Washington. George Washington?
Sir, that's only $1.
Only $1. Don't you know that with 10, 10, 220, all calls up to 20 minutes are only 99 cents, and just 7 cents a minute after that. Plus, there's no monthly fee.
Great rates and no monthly fee?
All day, every day. Oh.
Walk this way. Dial 10, 10, 220.
coverage of Millennium 2000, only on CNN.
Well, we showed you some people dipping into the water of the mall there in Washington, D.C., between the Washington Monument.
You know, the last time I saw
Memorial.
someone doing this,
Look at
Judy,
this.
was when there was... Look at this.
Now, there must be some music. Can we hear the music that they're dancing to?
Maybe it's internal music.
It could very well be. You know,
The last time I saw someone dancing and standing in this reflecting pool before the steps of the Lincoln Memorial was when Stevie Wonder was singing at a tribute the 20th anniversary of the Martin Luther King address from the memorial, the I Have a Dream speech during the March on Washington. And people were literally dancing, doing what these two young women were just doing, dancing in the reflecting pool.
you know, that Washington Monument, people may say, well, gee, when are they going to finish all the construction work on it? But when you light up the scaffolding around it, it is something to behold.
Now, the spirits are very high everywhere as the millennium comes to the various time zones in the United States, in Central America, and Canada, and South America. And as our correspondents have indicated, everyone is in a good mood. No problems to report.
All right, you'd think that from these pictures in Washington and New York that it was all over but the shouting in the United States of America, but we're going to take you to a big city in the Midwest, Chicago. We don't know what they're doing in any pools in Chicago, but Jeff Flock, you're going to bring us up to date. They are having a very special celebration here.
Well, that camera, Judy and Bernie, that you see out there is out by the lakefront, but you'd have to be pretty crazy to get in the water tonight, even though it's fairly warm by Chicago standards. Inside here, the McCormick Place Convention Center, however, considerably warmer, and they are dancing it away. The Chicago 2000 International Millennium Celebration is on in full swing. Outside, there will be big-time fireworks in about a half an hour, and inside, you know, you spent a lot of money and time at CNN today talking to people all around the world. Well, the fact is, all you had to do was come to Chicago, because it's a veritable United Nations of people that have been brought here, two people from each country in the known world. And I have a group of them with me, and I'd like to first just ask you, what is your name and where are you from?
My name is Berit Kristoffersen. I came from Norway.
And you, sir?
Hans, I'm from Norway.
Hi, I'm Craig from Scotland.
Adenike Badejo from Nigeria.
I'm doing a better job from Nigeria.
Azdin Nekmouche from Morocco, Casablanca.
How has it been in Chicago? How's this experience been?
Wonderful, and it's a first experience that we hope that it will be every year like this in all over the world, because it's a message of peace that the world have to keep every year in mind and to repeat it for not forgiving it.
I must ask you if you're surprised that there haven't been any Y2K computer problems.
Yes, it has been a surprise that there was no problem with the Y2K compliances. And for one thing, Chicago is a country that has gone so well in computer and understands the technology of the new computer. So I am not surprised at all.
I must ask Krieg from Scotland, that a while ago we saw some people in the mall in Washington, D.C. wading in the water. Billy, I'll ask you to show Krieg is wearing a native dress. Have you been bothered by the weather in Chicago?
No, it's been quite warm, fortunately, so it hasn't been a problem.
I must ask you, folks from Norway, finally, before we get away, what has been the best part of this experience of bringing virtually the entire world together?
Oh, I've been meeting all these different people, and to meet all these itself is a wonderful experience. And to meet the people of Chicago, too, has been very nice.
Thank you. We appreciate you folks. A Noah's Ark here in Chicago tonight, and of course, we're not even close yet. We still have a good half hour away, and all I can say is we wasted a lot of money at CNN today going all around the world. All you had to do was come here to Chicago. Bernie, Judy.
Jeff Flock, thanks so very much. Well, we're not going to waste any time. Let's call in Lou Waters. He's in the Big Easy. Lou.
Yes, I am, Bernie, and I've been looking at all those pictures of the masses of humanity in Washington and New York. I heard Mayor Giuliani talk about spread out in a mile in all directions from Times Square. Take a look at Bourbon Street tonight. We're talking about 76, 78 square blocks packed in like sardines down there. But unlike the rowdy and gaudy Mardi Gras, you'll even see a few tuxedos and evening gowns associated with this Millennium celebration here in the Big Easy. Although they're crowded in and there are many tens of thousands of people, perhaps hundreds of thousands, it's not as big as Mardi Gras, the police tell me. Hotels are about 80–90% booked. They're 100% booked for Mardi Gras. It is a big party. All police are off their days off and vacations through next Wednesday, because after this party comes the Sugar Bowl at the Superdome on Tuesday. Back-to-back parties to start out the new year. We are moved down here on the edge of the Mississippi River, where it's getting a little cool now, fog rolling in. It's been very warm days. It's a gentle evening, but there's a slight chill in the air now as we await in the next 25 minutes or so for them to light the candle on the barges out here in the middle of the Mississippi River and shoot the massive fireworks display over Jackson Square and over the Riverwalk here, where some of those sardines have managed to squeeze out of Bourbon Street, and they're joining us down here now for the big show. Bernie, Judy.
All right, Blue Waters, that's something definitely we would look forward to. 78 square blocks. You know, I know the folks in New York are proud of what they've got. And look, here's Washington. We're back in the mall in Washington. It looks like a lot of people are getting into the water there in the reflecting pool. We leave you with that picture as the clock says we are just 25 minutes away from midnight in the central time zone of the United States, parts of Canada, parts of South America.
Stand by, heavy ground, X-31, ready to tip.
Initiating data download.
At Merrill Lynch, we're still bullish.
Analyzing data.
From Wall Street to the world.
Critics are calling Anna and the King a spectacular epic. One magnificent journey, both romantic and thrilling. It's one of the best films of the decade. Anna and the King, rated PG-13. Now playing.
On a Millennium 2000 roundtable discussion, Jeff Greenfield and Walter Isaacson talk to the experts on how the media will impact our lives. From the internet and the future of TV to the latest computer gadgets, all on the network of the Millennium, CNN.
You go to great effort to keep your body in shape. But where do you go to give your mind a workout? Go to the World Today and get the best of CNN in one power-packed hour. Daily news, money news, an in-depth look at the most important issues today. Watch the World Today and exercise the most important muscle of all, your brain. CNN, you are what you know.
I live life on my own terms. I need to know what's going on and
how it affects me, so I take the news personally.
With my CNN, I create my own site with the information
I'm looking for all on one page. It's easy. Top stories, my
local weather, the home team, check my stocks. It's all the
stuff I care about, just one
click away, saving me time and
keeping me up to the minute. And that's the way I
want it. My news, my way. My CNN.
There's been a big celebration in New York City, especially one at Times Square, but a very personal thing has happened between two people there, our own Gary Tuckman. I don't want to spill the beans completely, Gary.
Well, Judy, Times Square is empty now, but there are a lot of stories in the big city. Great story happened tonight as we entered the new millennium. This couple right over here This couple, these two stand next to me from Ohio. This gentleman proposed to this lady, and you said...
I said yes.
And show me what you have on your finger.
I have a beautiful engagement ring. Beautiful, I love it.
Now tell me the story. Was there any doubt she would say yes to you?
Yeah, I was a little bit worried coming up here, but the clock ticked down, and luck was on my side. She said yes. It's the best New Year's I've ever had in my life.
So tell me exactly when you proposed to her. Was it before or after the millennium began?
I waited till the end of the countdown, and once the fireworks went off and we could hear voices again, I proposed to her, and she said yes.
So it wasn't the year 2000?
No, yes, it was in the year.
You gotta know that, what year you proposed to her. So when are you gonna get married?
I don't know. I don't know. I just found out about it now.
Okay, well, we're glad you said yes. A lot of people are having a good time here in Times Square, especially this couple, as they celebrate the new millennium in a very nice way. Bernie and Judy, back to you.
Gary, what are their names? You going to tell us?
I think he's going away from us.
Folks, can you still hear me?
Yes, we can.
You know what? One question I didn't ask you guys, a very important one. So everyone in the world who's watching right now knows your names. What are your names?
Suzanne Hall.
And your name?
Jay Erickson.
Very nice meeting you. Good luck to both of you. Bernie and Judy, back to you.
And quickly to Texas. Candy Crowley is in Texas, and Candy, there's love in the air.
Yes, there is. I can't come up with a couple about to be married. However, we have run several times into a young married woman who is very pregnant, says she's about to give birth any day, and she has written Baby 2000 across her belly, which she's shown us several times. We are here in Granbury, Texas. What you're looking at is the courthouse, which really is the centrifugal force of this town, around which all of the New Year's Eve activities have gathered. Right now, they're listening to the tones of Larry Joe Taylor, a Texas-bred country western singer. He is the one that is going to lead the countdown to New Year's here in this small town of about 6,000. There's 2,000 to 3,000 here in the town square. Various activities, you know, painters, palm readers, sort of a mix of a kind of a circus and a New Year's Eve, a sort of family time. Children, they just got finished doing the conga to one of the songs here. Right now, what they're waiting for is what people in every city we've seen so far in the last 22, 23 hours are waiting for, and that is for the strike of midnight, when they will listen to the bell peal off the top of this courthouse. This bell was constructed by the same firm that did Big Ben. It is something they're very proud of. They will also tell you that it has rung in 1 century before this, so this is the 2nd century for this town of Granbury, which really is sort of become a historic restoration and has moved from an agricultural community, and then in the 60s began its restoration, and now is a big tourist attraction. And so they have thrown this New Year's Eve party and calling it Back to the Future, because indeed this town found its future in its past by reconstructing all of these buildings, some of them from the late 1900s into the late 1800s into the 20th century. So they are prepared here. We have less than a half hour to go. Children ranging from babies up to elderly couples have been in the town square, and they're just waiting, like everyone else has across the world, for the midnight to strike. Bernie and Judy?
Candy, I listen very closely to you always, and earlier in one of your reports you said the town square is the epicenter there?
It is. I mean, the town square is sort of what they have built up around. The town is obviously bigger than this, but this is where sort of the centrifugal force, really. The town's main shops are around here, mostly antiques, souvenirs, that kind of thing. I have to tell you, there's a lot of folklore that they pass along to the tourists that come here. Also, this will give you an idea of what sort of town it is. 26 bed and breakfasts are here. So people across Texas, we were at bed and breakfast this morning, and we're with 2 couples who were celebrating their anniversary. So this draws them in from all around Texas, and they were hoping that some would come from outside this town, and indeed they appear to have come from all over Texas here to help celebrate in Granbury.
And Candy, picking up on your point about the lady with Baby 2000 or words to that effect written across her belly, courtesy of the Reuters wire service, 2 twin boys born in Berlin Germany this night, one born in one millennium, the second millennium, the other one born 5 minutes later in the third millennium.
And wherever you're watching and listening.
They win.
And to you, our viewers, wherever you're watching and listening, our worldwide coverage. As we get ready to pause for a moment, look at this. Sunrise over Beijing. Sunrise over Beijing. Sunrise over Beijing, now over the Great Wall, and this is Tiananmen Square.
CNN's global coverage of Millennium 2000 is brought to you by Aflac. Without it, no insurance is complete.
Well, when I got hurt and missed work, thought I had supplemental insurance.
Supplemental insurance? What's that?
Aflac. Well, even the best insurance.
The future is now on MTV.
Bounce freshness, you guys, the dreaded Y2K computer virus. Right now, NBC's Bob Hager is at Y2KCC. And Bob, you can explain what that is and how things are going.
Well, it's the Information Coordinating Center. We're actually getting quite a bit of hard information now, 45 minutes after the time change in the east, and we have no reports of problems already. Now, tick them off by industry. The electric power industry is represented back here. They've been by. They've heard from all their big power companies up and down the East Coast, and there's been no interruption of electric service. Then the FCC has a representative back here, and she has been by and told us that the cell phones are all working fine in the Eastern time zone. The landlines are working fine, so no telecommunications problems, no communication problems with satellites. Amtrak, they shut their trains down at midnight. 5 minutes after midnight, they shut them down at the stations on purpose. 5 minutes after midnight, they got back in operation, rolled those trains out of the station, all went perfectly. And in the air, too, there are no glitches even in the air traffic control in the Eastern time zone. So we have here a mirror image of what happened all around the rest of the globe today. Good news all the way around so far in terms of that Y2K bug.
Baby, he'll be a ball.
As we usher in the year 2000, log on to CNN.com and chat with renowned authors, experts, and pioneers about what the future may hold. Throughout the weekend, only at CNN.com/chat.
On a Millennium 2000 special, should the Western world abandon Africa or extend a helping hand in its fight for survival and acceptance? Jesse Jackson.
If they hadn't spent that money.
Turns out that everything moved for the past couple of hundred years. It seems to me that this has been 1,000 years of acceleration. You know, Newton studied acceleration, and everybody else is practicing it. And we're
in Athens. The Acropolis, a 2,500-year-old structure. The citadel of ancient Athens, built on a limestone hill. Built in the golden age of Athens during the reign of Pericles in the 5th century BC. And it does take your breath away. To North America now, to Mexico, Mexico City. CNN's Harris Whitbeck is there as they await. In 14 minutes, the new millennium. Harris?
Judy, you know, there's a old Aztec prophecy from the 14th century that said that while the world existed, there would be no end to the glory and the fame of Mexico. And the organizers of tonight's event have certainly kept that in mind as they've gathered over 200,000 people at the Mexico's main square, the Zócalo, here in downtown Mexico City. Now, that celebration, of course, started many hours earlier, not only here in the Zócalo, but also on the streets of Mexico City. It started early afternoon with street concerts on Mexico City's main thoroughfare. Mariachis, salsa singers, even hard rockers were out to entertain thousands. Streets normally filled with traffic or demonstrators were today crowded with people out to have fun.
They like to celebrate a lot, every kind of festivities, and I think they do it quite well.
And people expressing their hopes for the best in the new year. This man says 2000 is a year brimming with hope. Hopes that people will be more tolerant and generous to others. Throughout this city of 20 million people, the celebration of the start of the new millennium has been impossible to ignore. Mexico City's monument to the revolution, a huge triumphal arch located in the heart of the city, was specially lit up. But the main center of attraction is the Zócalo, Mexico City's main square, where a huge party got underway as dusk fell on 1999. Judy, and that party is continuing now. We're only minutes away from midnight here, and we're waiting for about 200 mariachi bands that will be playing two serenades, one for the old year and one for the new one that's coming. It's tradition here that you sing songs to people as you say goodbye to them and as you welcome them and on their birthdays. So that's what we'll be expecting here in the next few minutes. Judy?
Thank you, Harris. We've been reading of high security, Bernie, there in Mexico City. We're so happy to see that so far all is smooth and happy.
And happy. People are waiting in Mexico City. They're also waiting in Las Vegas, as is Lauren Sidney.
That's right, they are waiting to get married. We are back here in Las Vegas overlooking that famous 4-mile strip from our perch at the Four Seasons Hotel. Now, Y2K glitches are not expected to affect Vegas hitches. Gambling, drinking, and show-going aren't the only things to do here. Saying I do has become a very popular activity, especially this New Year's Eve. We sent our Paul Verkaman, who is happily married, to the Little Chapel of the West to check out some New Year's nuptials.
Dearly beloved, we are gathered here for a fast-forward version, a fast-break version of weddings in Las Vegas. Many couples tying the knot this New Year's Eve. And these are now Mr. and Mrs. Baca from Orange County, California. We understand you got married earlier. Why did you want to beat the year 2000 deadline?
Because I'm really into the Old West. In fact, we go to Tombstone, Arizona every year on the anniversary of the gunfight at OK Corral, and I feel like with the 1900s, a lot of the Old West is dying out. And 2000 sounds like space age, so we wanted to do it while it was still the 1900s.
Yeah, one last cowboy yeehaw.
How are you feeling right now? Emotionally, you okay with all of this?
Yeah.
It was scarier than the ride up top of that stratosphere, but it was fun. It was okay. It was beautiful, really. It turned out really pretty.
Congratulations, Mr. and Mrs. Baca, on your entry into marital bliss. We should note that the Clark County Clerk's Office is putting on extra staff members because so many people are going to tie the knot in Las Vegas. The numbers are hard to estimate, but maybe up to 2,000 couples, so multiply by 2, 4,000 people will get married here in Las Vegas, maybe the romance capital of the world right now. I'm Paul Verkaman reporting from Las Vegas.
And if you're in a hurry here, they even have a drive-in chapel. Now, one of the hottest tickets in town is the Divine Miss Midler's Millennium New Year's Eve concert. Nobody does it better than Bette Midler. And we have a little bit of the beginning of her concert at Mandalay Bay. Here's a peek.
Well, we didn't get to hear Bette Midler, but we know she's a great singer, and we saw her talking a little bit earlier today with Lauren Sidney. And here it is.
She is indeed the divine Miss M. That's it for now, but we will have much more throughout the evening. There will be more Bette. There will be even some barbers, so please stay tuned. Reporting from our perch at the Four Seasons Hotel, which, by the way, Bernie and Judy, provides these recovery kit with all the makings to take care of any headaches that either of you might have throughout the evening. So if you want this, I'm more than willing to send it down to you. Just let me know, okay?
Thanks, Lauren.
Who could get a headache from what we're doing? We're
so
having
far,
too much fun.
we don't need it. I don't think we're going to.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear those 200 mariachi bands in Mexico City. That should be something.
That's right. We're going to take a break. Much, much more ahead. We'll be back.
Was someone making an announcement?
coming soon to video. CNN Millennium 2000. Incredible moments from the worldwide celebration. This exclusive CNN video features CNN's unparalleled round-the-clock and round-the-globe live coverage of Millennium celebrations. Highlights from the most extraordinary 24 hours of celebrations in world history will be yours to relive forever. Take home the world's greatest celebration, CNN Millennium 2000. Coming soon to video cassette and DVD.
The Matrix on video cassette and DVD.
Free your mind.
What you couldn't believe at the movies now comes home. It's the movie critics call a virtual masterpiece. Buy or rent it today.
Stick to uniform police around in the last week.
At midnight, we have a camera that took a 360-degree panoramic view.
Awesome.
Of Times Square.
Oh, shoot, they're Jennifer Lopez. Oh, God, they wouldn't let her in. It's too late.
Celebrity sighting.
Oh, darn.
On a Millennium 2000 special, we take it for granted, but it's vital to our very existence. Siobhan Darrow focuses on the future of the world's water supply with Mikhail Gorbachev and Shimon Peres on the network of the Millennium, CNN.
Weeknights, CNN Newsstand moves to a new time and expands to 5 nights a week. As the most responsive and immediate news magazine on television, Newsstand covers the big stories.
Of 1999, and it should be a great party that we are more than happy to bring.
The folks who give us Tabasco are going to produce a 1,000-gallon Bloody Mary to help these people work with their hangovers.
I don't know why you'd ever think New Orleans was an anticlimax to anything, Steve.
11 to 4. Has your home phone been disconnected?
Full tilt. After years of making records that didn't live up to expectations, Cher is enjoying another musical comeback.
Vamos a cantarlas todas, venga.
Beginning tomorrow at 8 Eastern on MSNBC.
I was one herding cowboy. Heartbreak.
And get 6 tap lights for only $19.95. This offer won't last.
Fight, and few people.
Evos and Sami down in New Orleans, where it looked rather warm. I am in the Windy City, in Grant Park, in downtown Chicago. Beautiful skyline. I'm feeling the power. Let me show you something. Just watch what will happen. All you have to do is wave your hand and the crowd goes wild. I'd say there are several thousand people down here at Buckingham Fountain, one of Chicago's great landmarks, right on the lakefront. But this is only one place where fireworks are going to be set off. There are 6 locations throughout the city, as Mayor Daley emphasizes that this is a town of neighborhoods. So instead of people gathering at one place like Times Square, they are all over the city where they will be enjoying it. And today we've
New Orleans to Texas and Mexico. We are in cities large and small.
City of Chicago. There are Asians, there are Poles, there are Jews, there are African Americans. They're very happy ones that this is finally their time. They've been watching all day, other cities celebrating, and we are waiting. There is going to be a countdown on the big building, the second or third. We're still not sure whether it's the second or third tallest building in Chicago. Used to be the Standard Oil building and called Big Stan. Then it was the Amoco building, but as of today, it is now an insurance building called Aon. And there are laser lights that are shining across there, and we will be getting a countdown there shortly. Peter?
Well, Cal, we're going to stay with you right through midnight because Chicago doesn't take a backseat to anybody anywhere else in the world with absolute and complete justification. Never understood why they called it the second city. So we'll stay with you. We're at 51 minutes, seconds, and counting down to Chicago's midnight and throughout the Midwest. So we'll stay with you, Carol. It's yours.
Okay. I'd like to also tell you that we just left McCormick Place, where the 2x2 celebration is. International people from all over the world, and they are out on the deck of McCormick Place to watch these fireworks.
Carol's making reference to the fact that the city of Chicago invited people from all over the world to come to Chicago and celebrate with them. Two people
Here
from
comes
a whole
the count,
variety
Peter.
of nations. It's yours.
On the building, 9. 10, 9, 8.
Happy New Year to you, Carol.
Fireworks are lighting up the sky. As I say, along the lakefront, there are 6 locations which are having fireworks demonstrations like these.
Well, you're in one of the cities that's paid attention to its waterfront lakeshore in Chicago. Uncluttered, unencumbered by either advertising signs or buildings right on its edge. So very few lakeshore waterfront cities in the world have kept and preserved the access to the water like this one has.
They are very proud of this area. They call it Chicago's front yard.
Supply of fireworks there tonight. Beautiful lighting up of the Washington Monument. And now what you see is behind the Lincoln Memorial, out on the mall. NBC's David Bloom is in Washington. David?
Tom, these fireworks are coming from a series of barges which are actually in the Potomac River behind the Lincoln Memorial. A truly spectacular, awe-inspiring, 2,000 welcoming fireworks display here in Washington. Now coming to an end here in Washington, D.C., even as it kicks off in the central time zones across the country. Tom?
Thanks very much. NBC's David Bloom. David, the president made a small speech from there tonight. What did he have to say?
He
as
did.
we look at Chicago.
He did, Tom. The president talked about how this is a time to usher in a new era. He invoked, appropriately enough, here at the Lincoln Memorial, the words of Abraham Lincoln, talking the great emancipator, talking about a new birth of freedom. He specifically said that the time has come in America to end this age of oppression, bigotry, poverty, that Americans need to make that part of their new millennium message. But obviously it was also a message of inspiration about what we can look forward to given this awesome prosperity that America finds itself in as we have the dawn of this new millennium. Tom?
Thanks very much, NBC's David Bloom. We'll see if politicians across the country, beginning with the president, can capitalize on this spirit of goodwill that seems to be pervasive tonight. Let's go to Chicago now, and NBC's Ann Thompson. We have her microphone up and running. Ann, where are you?
Tom, I am at Navy Pier, and I'm watching just a spectacular fireworks display here on the shores of Lake Michigan. Fireworks coming from 4 different locations here along the city's lakefront. One of them at Navy Pier. More than 15,000 shells going up in the air to ring in the new millennium. The 70,000 people here at Navy Pier, they are tooting horns, they are yelling Happy New Year, they are hugging and kissing. and drinking champagne, and it is a spectacular sight. There you get a sense of some of the crowds here in the city of Chicago. As you said, it's an unusually warm night, the temperature hovering in the upper 30s, the wind not too bad, although coming off Lake Michigan, and when it does remind you that we are in the middle of winter. But this is a wonderful way to welcome in a new year and a new century here at Chicago's Navy Pier.
And Mayor Richie Daley had a party tonight in which he invited people from all over the world, Ann.
He did. He invited a representative from each country and his or her companion, and they had people from 195 countries come to Chicago. There's a big dinner dance at McCormick Place hosted by the mayor, and those people from all over the world are mixing with Chicago, a city, as you know, there's a beautiful firework, rich with ethnic neighborhoods that have been the backbone and the pride of this city for many years.
Thank you very much, NBC's Ann Thompson from the city of Broad Shoulders tonight. Chicago, there on the shores of Lake Michigan. Here in New York, the cleanup is already underway in Times Square, and NBC's Ann Curry is down there tonight, as she has been all evening long. Not quite so many people behind you now, Ann.
That's right, because what's happening, Tom, is they're all being moved down to some pens further down, because this party, it turns out, is not over. David Parsons here is in charge of all the dancers. So what have you got coming up?
We're going to keep going. Chief Hale says we can keep partying. We're going to have a pageantry until 7:10 this morning. We're going to keep celebrating the time zones and the cultures, the music, the dance, the pageantry, until we finish.
So celebrating means you actually have more performances coming up this morning?
Every hour.
Who's coming?
Every hour. We're going to celebrate another. Next is Canada. We're going to go through all the way to the west with the Lakota Sioux American Indian Dance Company, a Hawaiian company. When we hit Hawaii, we're going on. We're going on.
What time did you say you're going to end?
7:10 this morning. We're going to bring in the first dawn. We're going to have another just like when we opened. We're going to bring in the next sunrise of the new millennium.
All right, David Parsons, thank you so much for talking us
Stick
this
around.
morning. I'm going to keep asking Alan here to follow him here. Alan, show a shot of what's happening down here. A lot of people, I think, had Big Macs for dinner because there's a lot of McDonald's garbage, a lot of confetti. It's a big mess. We did see some cleanup crews, but you know, they're sporadic. They're just sort of moving around, so it's hard to sort of give you a picture of one, but when we find one, we'll let you know. But they are around, and they're just beginning. We can also point out to you that they're taking down this stage. It has been a centerpiece for a lot of the celebrations this evening. The work crews are right up there now. You see some cleanup going on up there. All right, now back to you, Tom.
Thank you very much, Ann Curry. By the way, there was a reasonably close call tonight in the vicinity of Times Square. New York City police spotted a man with handcuffs. They went to his vehicle with him, and they found a loaded, unlicensed rifle in the car. He was someone from out of town. He was arrested on the spot. Nothing happened. That was the most serious incident tonight. It was in a parking garage not too far from Times Square. And we've had another one of those curious developments out in Indianapolis. Twins.
Beautiful catalogs.
Hospital.
What we were permitted of a Barbra Streisand concert in Las Vegas tonight, in which, of course, a great many people were actually in attendance. Elton John, we've heard from a little earlier in this evening. We were a little surprised to hear that he chose to sing this song on the Millennium, but he did, and when you hear it, you'll understand why.
Goodbye, Norma Jean. Though I never knew at all, you have the grace to hold yourself while those around you crawl. They're crawling out the woodwork and they whisper into your brain. They set you on the treadmill and they made you change your name.
More, maybe he'll spare a smile and a wave for Puppy and Foxy and Missy and Paula and all their grounded brethren down below.
Knowing who to cling to when the rain set in. And I would like to love you,
and she opened the door wearing a black dress.
I'll meet you anytime you want in our Italian restaurant.
Nominee for Best.
Coincidencia como muy afortunada y bella, ¿no? Pues habría que celebrar todo.
And this.
I'm an arms and shoulders kind of girl.
You out. And tonight just might do the trick, Bernie. Judy?
I don't think it's going
to... in any parts of the U.S. infrastructure. So I think you'll see those people behind me continue to look a bit passive and even a bit bored. John?
Well, Chip, we have the same situation here at Microsoft's headquarters in Redmond, Washington, where they're not too worried about the world's computer systems either. My question to you about what's going on behind you is why? We seem to have heard for at least a year that there was going to be some kind of problem on the grid or some kind of problem associated with Y2K. Why not?
Well, two takes on that. Number one, John Koskinen, who of course has been the person in charge of this whole effort at the government level, and of course his job is to make sure that private industry and everybody else was in line too. Their take, number one, is they say, yes, there really was a threat. There really was.
I don't buy this often, but this was so
disaster, but because they, in the government and private industry, got together, spent so much time and money dealing with the problem, they conquered what could have been a disaster. On the other hand, they raised the question themselves today, and they said, well, you know, people are probably going to say, why did we even do this? Look at countries like Russia and China that spent nowhere near the amount of time and money that the United States spent on this, and apparently there are no major problems, nothing that we know of now. Could we have done what they did, which is a far smaller effort, and still survived very well? Well, they say no. In the United States, we're so much more reliant on computers that we really did have to undertake this effort. They also point out they believe that probably in countries like Russia and China and third world countries, there probably are problems that we haven't even heard about yet. There probably will be things that crop up over the coming days and weeks and even over the next couple of months. And even in the United States, they admit there will be problems. On Monday, when people go back to work and turn on their computers, there will be sporadic problems across the country. But they say it was necessary to invest this incredible amount of money, about $100 billion across the nation, $8.5 billion by the federal government. If they had not done it, it would have been a disaster. But the disaster has been averted. John?
Chip, the center you're in now, how much longer does it stay in business? All next week, a couple more weeks, a month, or just a few days?
Well,
Isn't that beautiful?
Right or not, and it is his.
Right balance.
That isn't a gift, this is the gift. What's going on? It's like it's
arts category.
Stripes on this.
Everyone said they were crazy. But do you know you're much too lazy, and Eddie could never afford to live that kind of life. Oh, but there we were, waving Burner and Eddie goodbye. Oh, oh, oh. Well, I got an apartment with Team Park Office and a couple of bags of Sears. We go to bed and they bump with the break they sang for a couple.
Of the Hilton here in Harrisburg.
Michael Novacek, Anna Quinlan, and Neil Tyson talking about the past and the present and the future as they all come together at the Museum of Natural History. We'll be back after this.
Hey!
This is for those.
And the wonderful opportunity that they... It was the defining event of the 20th century.
It will not only be a long war, it will be a hard war.
When our nation came together to save the world.
They were just hitting all around us. We had to get off that beach to stay alive.
Time and again brings you the battles, the people, and the story of the Second World War. Special programming begins tomorrow at 2 Eastern on MSNBC.
Your telecom provider should provide...
These guys are okay, Mr. Framer, but to tell you the truth...
They should just show it and be second.
Dos raciones de pura carne.